all of those people who've been using ChatGPT to bother some of the people from G&G with those job opportunities and stuff through LinkedIn. All those small businesses, I don't know. In that context, yeah. No, like, I mean, overall, the infringement and everything has already happened. And so it's definitely going to come down to how can we adapt to it, unless there's going to be a big overhaul through the copyright lawsuits. Got some dramatic music there for that piece too. But yeah, no, I was talking about AI because of a reference to the No AI Fraud Act. How much does it cost to infringe an entire planet? That's a good question. Well, and you know, the 150K is intentional infringement. Like the willful or wanton, and with statutory damages. And so, you know, that's all going to be varied, but it just wouldn't be feasible to determine that level of infringement because you're going to have multiple rights schemes. You know, we're going to have people with content all over the place. And in a lot of countries, there's not going to be any money or any infringement. Didn't Russia, like, remove infringement so that they could keep those, like, fake McDonald's and stuff? I don't even know what they're doing anymore. Yeah. But, no, like, I'm definitely pivoting a little bit here just because... it's just like very briefly, the No AI Fraud Act, where they're trying to basically make a federal name, image, and likeness right, like a right to name, image, and likeness. And so we have the right against appropriation of name and likeness, name, image, and likeness, for example, in Virginia, but it's in a commercial context. Publicity rights, yeah. And they are primarily doing this from the lens of so many silly emails. Anyway, I kind of like the idea of a federal right to name, image, and likeness, or likeness rights. And so I kind of like the idea of this starting that conversation. And then we'll have the fun balance of state versus federal rights and trying to figure out the whole Chevron deference. But I think that could be a big thing to follow. I mean, it's already been a big piece of like college sports, you know, basketball, NCAA, all that stuff. And so this would just open the gates. So definitely something else I'm keeping an eye on. It's related to AI, but not the same conversation, different perspective. Because instead of copyright, yeah, dealing with the publicity or another name for the same stuff, basically. Really interested in seeing how that pans out. And then there was just like another update where basically the Supreme Court didn't end up deciding to hear one of the Epic versus Apple decisions that was appealed. So Apple won most of the issues that had been decided at the lower court levels, except for the anti-steering policy. And so that's something that ended up going the other way. And basically, I'm going to be keeping an eye and seeing if there are any other big changes about that case or any of the other antitrust stuff. But the short of it is, Apple, i.e. the big corporation, won, is still winning. I guess we'll put it that way. Until they get any kind of big prohibition prohibiting them from, setting rates or for doing things the way that they're doing, running their marketplace, if you want to call it that, then that part's not going to be changing anytime soon. So that'll get us into a very interesting perspective when we're, keeping up with the conversations like Unity and other systems. I mean, if they get big enough and they're in a situation like the Apple App Store, then I guess what it also is doing is saying if you're anything smaller than the Apple App Store, then you're probably not going to be into any anti-competitive category. And so that's really what this is reinforcing. It's still really hard to get those anti-competition, antitrust type lawsuits in place. So in that sense, I don't know, it's a little scary. As our corporate overlords are only getting bigger and acquiring other entities, it definitely going to include Microsoft within that. But I mean, honestly, we've seen all of those get smoothed out. And so unless there's a big change to like the federal circuits or specifically the Supreme Court, we're not going to see any big changes with antitrust anytime soon, I don't imagine. Unless there's a big law that doesn't get struck down. It's one way to put it. So, yeah. Somebody was asking about Pal World in the other lawyer panel. So it wasn't with our panel, but I just thought it was really interesting because I've seen a lot of Pal World content that's now popping up where everybody's streaming it on TikTok, for example. And, well, okay, people are streaming it on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube and stuff, but I'm primarily seeing it on TikTok because that's my little scrolly app. And, the question came down to, it's Pokemon with guns, so how is it not infringement? Why haven't they been sued into oblivion yet? And so, just for the sake of saying it out there, the conversation that came up was, yeah, but we can't just say it's Pokemon with guns. Like, we really have to describe what everything is. And, how is it Pokemon with guns? Is it the concept of creatures, your pocket monsters that have weapons and stuff? Because those types of concepts generally aren't going to be protectable. Now, if you make a narrative-based storyline, like a plot, then as long as it's not like a generic plot, like this is now part of a specific genre, then it might be protectable. But just having creatures that battle one another, like, no, not necessarily protectable. And so what they were saying is like, look, if you take Pikachu and you put Pikachu into the game, then you're probably committing copyright infringement, because you had to get the code for Pikachu, you had to get the design or something to copy it and put it in the game. But saying that there's a creature that is like Pikachu, it's a harder analysis. You know, is it derivative work? Is it its own thing? You know, what's the source? All that stuff. But you know, obviously, if Nintendo or Pokemon Company or any of those parties wanted to take down Power World, then they're gonna say, nope, they did steal our designs. They tried to change it. They tried to make Cinderace look like something else to transform it, but like they stole our code, and through discovery we'll figure it out. You know, we'll know for sure if they stole all of our designs. And so that's going to be the challenge for them. You know, do they want to invest all the resources and time, and then do they actually have the ability to enforce and go after all that stuff? So my favorite thing was that, you know, at the time during the panel on, what was it, Saturday? Yeah. Sam and some of the other panelists were talking about it very briefly. And, you know, they came up to like, if it's not literally the characters, then it's probably not going to be infringement. And I was like, huh, interesting. And then I kept hearing, it's like Pokemon with guns, blah, blah, blah. And today it was like, all right, I'm just going to take some time. I'm going to eat food right before I get on stream. And here's all these videos about Power World. Let's see how fun it looks or how interesting it looks. And then a video pops up and it's like, there's now a mod to reskin all of the content so that you can bring Pokemon into Power World. And I'm like, there's the infringement.